Was any funds transferred, withdrawn, or executed as a result of that letter?
No.
No. Okay. So you did not rely on that letter to withdraw any funds?
The letter is considered a legally binding instrument that binds us as new management to continue to carry on, because it was signed by the previous management and consistent with the principle that says government is continuity. We were under obligation to implement said instrument.
But then let's go to Exhibit 2, the letter 2024.
Yes, sir.
Do you have that? We're going to call that LPRC Exhibit 2. Right? Who signed that?
This letter was intended, it was after we decided as new management, Honorable Speaker, to renegotiate aspects, not the entirety of this instrument, but to renegotiate aspect of this loan agreement that was already signed by the previous management. And the principle behind that was that the previous management negotiated a loan, which is very good, we must say here as new government, but at an interest rate of 11%. We thought that the interest rate was on the high side. So as new government, we found it necessary to call the facility provider to renegotiate aspect of this loan. And they were magnanimous enough to listen to us. We pushed for reduction from 11% to 9%. And I'm pleased to report to you that as a result of our push, we succeeded to reduce the interest rate from 11% to 9%, saving the government of Liberia $450,000 for a period of 3 years. So as a consequence of that renegotiation...
We'll have time for you to testify after that. As a result of this letter, did you withdraw any money?
This communication, this new one,
this facility letter.
we are actually in the process, but money has not been withdrawn yet.
Okay. Construction agreement is LPRC Exhibit 3.
Yes, sir.
Describe this document for us.
The construction agreement, Honorable Speaker, by the previous management of LPRC following the signing of the loan agreement. The next instrument was to sign a construction agreement with the construction firm. And that was signed by the previous management. So in essence, we met two instruments, two legal instruments we were under obligation to implement. So if you want me to explain in detail, I can explain this.
So we will have questions for you on that. LPRC Exhibit Committee Resolution, can you describe that?
The Debt Management Committee Resolution, sir, is as a result of the Public Financial Management Law, which mandates that before state-owned enterprise take loan, they should get approval from the Debt Management Committee headed by the Minister of Finance.
But not the legislature?
No.
Okay. LPRC Exhibit 5, it's a board resolution, can you describe that?
The same public finance also mandates that SOE, before even coming to receive or get approval from the Debt Management Committee, we should receive approval from our board after having justified the basics for any project for that matter. And I'm glad to report to you that it was a unanimous mandate from the board of directors of LPRC.
LPRC Exhibit 6, PPCC Letter of No Objection. Can you describe that?
This is also in conformity with the Public Financial Management Law or the Public Procurement and Concession Commission Law. So the PPCC granted the previous management no objection consistent with the law.
Okay, thank you very much. So with Marty, do you have any other documents you want to enter into exhibit?
Well, yes, two instruments. Is the Public Financial Management Law.
Okay, do you have a copy of that?
We'll send it for hard copy. Maybe in the next 5 minutes we'll be here. So.
Okay, describe what it's going to say.
Say that?
Describe what that law is going to say.
The Public Financial Management Law, under the caption government borrowing, specifically require Section 29 up to 28, 29.
On the floor, you will have the opportunity to help the witness.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you describe this exhibit.
Yeah, so folks,
This is Minister of Finance, you will handle that.
Yeah. This aspect. Yes, sir.
this is the ministry.
Then we also have the revised revenue code. Probably I will leave that with the minister also.
Okay, I agree with that. You can stipulate that.
Okay, sir.
It will be we are witnesses in a few minutes. I just want to make one observation in accordance with the testimony. I really don't think the EcoBank facility LPRC 1 is relevant to these proceedings, and I'll tell you why. Because if a facility was in continuation of government, as you said, then there would have been no need for an additional resolution, debt management committee resolution. All of these other exhibits would not have been necessary because you would have just flowed in. It appears to me that EcoBank facility letter of 2024 would be something that initiated a new facility.
Can I just clarify?
Yes, please clarify.
So that instrument, there was one more instrument that was left, which is the debt management committee. So our responsibility as new government was just to ensure we execute that part.
Okay, good. So the failure of that debt management committee resolution, you couldn't have closed the loan, so the loan would not have been closed.
So as a result of this now, the loan was healed.
Right. So again, EcoBank facility letter is irrelevant. Your witness. Questions, comments? Honorable Clarence Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. You know, Mr. Speaker, before I make further comment, I want this body to be patient. Let the MD and the Minister of Finance quote and read the PFN law that grant them the right to borrow without legislative approval.
Okay. So what we'll do, in all fairness to the MD, we'll give you, Honorable Guy, you will still have the floor, but yes. We'll give you 5 minutes, and we'll give the Minister of Finance 3 minutes. Is that okay? All right, proceed. Honorable MD.
To extend further?
Yes. If you have any further input,
Yes, sure.
Questions.
Honorable Speaker and Deputy and distinguished members of this House, as like I said, what we did was, as a new government, we thought that the idea, the conceptual framework to contract loan was very necessary. To do so with the objective, one, to increase Liberia's petroleum strategic reserve. Two, to increase our storage capacity. As I speak to you, Honorable Speaker, just yesterday, we turned down about 3 lickings, we call it lickings, in the industry, 3 requests for suppliers to bring in petroleum products in Liberia because we don't have the capacity. So the idea to build additional tank is a very good idea, and it aligns with the agenda of this government. So what we thought to do, when we saw the loan, it was on the high side. Like I said, 11% interest rate for 7.5 million. We thought to renegotiate aspect of that loan agreement, and we succeeded to reduce the interest rate from 11% to 9%, saving the government $450,000. On the construction contract, Honorable Speaker, the contract was meant or is meant to construct a single 17,000 cubic meter of BMS tank. We thought it was also necessary, but we pushed to include something else. So as a result of renegotiating the construction contract, Honorable Speaker, I'm pleased to report to you that the current management succeeded to include as part of the project the construction of a state-of-the-art laboratory for testing of petroleum products in the Republic of Liberia at no additional cost to the government of Liberia. Ordinarily, it will cost you around 800 to almost $1 million United States dollars to construct modeling lab based on country specification and requirements. So we succeeded to include this in the project at no additional cost. So we came in addition, when we monetize it, on the saving and the inclusion of the lab, we're talking about almost 1.2 million that we save or we gain as a government. So I thought it's important to inform you that we cannot overemphasize the importance or the necessity for constructing a petroleum storage tank in the Republic, given that LPRC is the natural leader in the downstream sector of the country's oil industry, with an honor obligation. As managing director of this new government, I don't want to be called here, or probably at the Senate, or even the president. I don't want him to call me and say why there is a shortage of petroleum products. One of the reasons why probably we continue to experience shortages of petroleum products is because we have limited capacity as a government. So in order to address that fundamental problem, we need to be able to increase our strategic capacity as a government and at the same time our strategic reserve. Honorable Speaker, let me say this. In addition to addressing that problem, the construction of the tank is going to increase revenue and it will position us to be able to increase our contribution to the national budget. In addition to increasing our own revenue as LPRC and contributing to national budget, it's also going to make the government of Liberia to raise additional revenue in sales tax, in road fund, and in import levies. So we believe this investment is very strategic and is going to have a very fast turnaround. It's a liquidity, short-term liquidity loan. We can assure this honorable body and the people of Liberia that within the space of 14 months after the construction of this contract, we are going to start generating additional revenue in the interest of the people of Liberia and for development purposes. Thank you.
All right.
Excuse me, Honorable MD, we will consider that a non-responsive answer. And I'll tell you why we consider that non-responsive. The purpose for this hearing is to determine the procedure for the borrowing. I think all of the explanation you gave is wonderful, and that's why your predecessor embarked upon this course. The question is whether or not you and your predecessor violated any aspects of the Constitutional Republic of Liberia that you have not addressed.
Oh, we addressed
but I
that.
think no more. But I think the Minister of Finance said he will take that onus on him. So I will ask the members if they have any questions of you. Then we'll go to that part for the Minister of Finance. We'll take probability on information.
Speaker, being where we are, and I always say that upholding the law, and then taking into consideration the power of this body. There is a line between the Constitution and the legislature. The Constitution is very clear, and I will read coming down from my colleague, Article 34 III. It says the only means the legislature can give those approval is through legislative enactment. It is the part of my colleague did not read. We have enacted the approval of the government's or the executive's right to borrow money to a certain extent.
Which is
as again, no, give me a chance, please. As per the managing director's positioning on PFM law, I think M4 or something. M4.
That regulation.
My argument is when we make law here, we are fulfilling the core of the Constitution for legislative in approval. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we should do individual approval.
Information.
Information to the speaker. Oh, give me a chance to finish information. Oh, give me a chance to finish information to the speaker.
Let me finish.
Information. Mr. Speaker, the law that we make here represents our approvals. When the Constitution was made, there was no PFM law. And therefore, the framework of those constitutions say that the people's representative must approve borrowing on behalf of the republic. Government, before 2018, a united party government, a federal government that is in power, knowing that they have authority over this building, and they wanted to put the constitution in the pocket.
Order.
They use their
Order sustained.
the previous government then decided that the legislature will put their approval right in one act and give it to the executive. If for some reason we in a 50-50 otherwise,
I think I was saying foundation. Information come to you. Information sustained.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
the information I wanted to provide, let me be clear. This body, in no time, approved borrowing by any means in the national budget. If you read the revised and amended PFN law of 2019, section 36 of the PFN law, it's clear if you go to section 36(2), it says loan may be raised upon such term and condition as to interest, repayment or otherwise as may be negotiated by the minister or his or her representative, but only for the purpose of financing budget deficit, treasury and monetary policy management, obtaining foreign currency, or lending to approve institution, or otherwise deferring expenditure which may lawfully be deferred. 3 says, with the exception of any loan raised for the purpose of paragraph B of such section 36(2), paragraph B of section 36(2) says treasury and monetary policy. They say, subsection 32, they say the term and condition of any loan shall be laid before the legislature and shall not come into operation unless they have been approved by a resolution of the legislature. Mr. Speaker, the PFN law is definite. There is no law that supersedes the Constitution and PFN law. So again, we are asking, let them give their reliance. By which law?
Information. Mr. Speaker.
Information sustained. Information Honorable Williams.
Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Police. My information here is that your cross-examination to the witness clearly justified that LPRC and the Ministry of Finance have not received any money from the bank. That process has not been consummated. Secondly, the provision Makoni just read did not presuppose that no government entity can engage into negotiation with prior authorization by the legislature. So the information here is that based on the testimony and your cross-examination, nothing has happened. The fact that no money has been disbursed. They are saying the process, and for me, I believe we need to rest when they shall have negotiated consistent with provision of the PFN law. The way that
What the man said, I'm according to order.
Honorable Williams.
So my last point, Honorable Speaker, last point information. The provision for in the Constitution that guarantees the legislature to authorize law. I'm not sure that the Constitution is saying before any government agency goes into negotiation, they must come for authorization. So the process has not ended. Hence, I see no reason why the LPRC has violated any constitutional provision because the negotiation, the process has taken on and will come before us. That's the information I want to provide.
Information tonight, the MD in his identification of that in the testimony has been no indication that there's any attempt to come before the legislature on this matter unless we have gone through. Information, Honorable. Everybody will count information. Yes. Honorable Sapoko.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So my information here, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, fellow colleagues. So, Honorable Speaker, my information here, it has to do with Section 41
Of what?
of the PFN law. The revised PFN law of 2009. To be very 2019, sorry, the revised PFN law. So, Honorable Speaker, in keeping with that, our brother, the managing director stated that he went to do another arrangement that has to do with the reduction of the interest at EcoBank. So my question here, my information has to do with consistent with Section 41.1 of the PFN law. Was the loan included in the 2024 draft budget?
The question is to the MD. Was it included?
It's not central government borrowing. The law is clear about when SOEs, state-owned enterprise, the provision is there. Before they contract loans, the processes they need to pass through, and they were exhausted.
Okay, as you say, Honorable, when say the thing finished. Honorable God. I will ask the MD to rest. I think we are unfairly putting him under pressure on an issue that rightly belongs to the Minister of Finance. So I will ask the Minister of Finance to make comment because we have various versions on sections of the PFN law being quoted, which will initiate further investigation before we can pass judgment. But I'm glad, as of yet, according to the Minister's testimony, nothing has been done and no funds have been withdrawn for that purpose. So, Mr. Minister of Finance. Mr. Minister, when you consulted and did you give approval or sign any document that gave aid and comfort to the loan in question?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, honorable members of the 55th House of Representatives, we have premised by saying issues regarding how there are controls in place regarding the borrowing by state-owned enterprises before this administration predates as far back as President Salih's administration. It's important to underscore that the debt management structure has been in place, reviewing and making sure that any SOE that is a state-owned enterprise seeking to do any form of borrowing, it goes through that structure, and the basis for that is Section 39, Count 2, Government Guarantees of the Public Financial Management Act, revised of 2019. All contracts that contain commitments involving contingent financial liabilities of the government or state-owned enterprises must be approved by the Minister and the Debt Management Committee. Contingent financial liabilities include but are not limited to any guarantee of performance or payments obligation of another person, and an agreement including indemnification agreement to hold another person harmless or to provide insurance or similar protection against risk or loss, and a guarantee of economic return or another person, including any guarantee of profit, in which case the LPRC holds true. And this is the provision I wish to state. Section 35, Count 1 of the revised 2019 PFM Act states, subject to the limits of authority granted by the legislature as provided for under Article 34D, Count III of the Constitution of Liberia, at the time of approval of the national budget or at any other time in a fiscal year, the minister is solely responsible for overseeing government's borrowing, including borrowing in accordance with specific regulation issued under this Act. And this includes domestic and foreign borrowing, as well as concessional and commercial borrowing and short-term liquidity related to borrowing, in which case the LPRC holds true. So it's just to say, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, honorable members of this House, that this structure has been there. The reason why LPRC had to come to the debt management structure committee, because it's for record keeping, to make sure that all forms, because at the end of the day, in any case of a default, it becomes the government's liability. And on this note, Mr. Speaker, I rest.
Okay, Mr. Minister, I listened to that. All my years of experience in constitutional and statutory interpretation and drafting, and I will tell you that if that is what you people are relying on, you totally misread the book. Nothing in what you're saying, when let's get it clear, when the legislature, by virtue of the Constitution, delegates any of its power, it must specifically do so. It's case law on that. Nothing you read till the legislature was delegating power. In fact, you said subject to legislative limitations in Article 34D. Yes. Because the legislature set up a structure in which the executive guides, negotiates, and implements and guarantees loan, does not, in my mind, without more, divest the legislature of its 34D powers. And that is what I'm looking for, and that is what I came from.
Information, Mr. Speaker. Information.
Mr. Speaker. Information, Honorable Taylor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in line with Article 34.
What are you spying for now?
The microphone.
What the microphone? I get a man microphone.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll be tempted to agree with the Minister of Finance when I refer to Article 34D of the Constitution. It reads, it says that no loan shall be raised by the government on behalf of the Republic, or guarantee given for any public institution or authority otherwise than by or under the authority of a legislative enactment. And I see here that the PFM law has become a legislative enactment and gave power to the ministry to guarantee loans and take up financial liabilities on behalf of government. So in this case, I find it in line that
information.
I find it.
Information.
Yes, that's my information. The law is saying that it should be done. No, the Constitution says everything we need to bring by local. That it should be done by the authority of the legislative act. The legislature here enacted the PFM law. So the PFM law is a legislative enactment. We need to recall our thing.
Okay, so it seems to be, in a sense of the chair, we are not going to resolve this further investigation is required. I will give a way forward to send to relevant committees to work with the Minister of Finance.
Way forward.
We
If I can obtain a second.
I will be ready to vote. Were you to announce the specialized committee? Okay. You as the speaker to announce the specialized committee. Thank you. You will not be part. You will not be part of the committee.
Williams.
There's an issue of concern.
Mr. Speaker,
This is how we come to the conclusion of this appearance. As the witnesses are about to be discharged, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Brahma Kamara, alongside the LPRC Director Amos Tweh.
There's an issue. There's an issue. Maviko, no issue. We got no issue. No issue. Maybe you compromise already. Why not compromise? Compromise.